Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to my, again, very professional setup here. It's just such the best place to record, I think. So today I was kind of thinking, like, really, what do I want to talk about today? And this is a little bit different. Unless you go back and watch my videos on holistic health, were actually at the very beginning of when I started, like 3 or 4 years ago now. You can listen to a little bit of me running my mouth there, but I don't talk about this. So psychosomatic connection, mind, body, spirit, you can look it up. And those of you who have not explored that area, or the body knows how to heal itself, all that sort of stuff, you really need to go investigate it, because it is really true and it's been going on for a very long time. Native Americans have been healing themselves with plants, herbs, and botanicals. Okay, so I am into a lot of that hippie shit. Okay, but I blend both East and Western concepts into my life. So what I wanted to share, a couple of personal stories, but before I get into that and staying on track so I don't have to record this again, is basically most of my life. I don't know to necessarily say that I would have considered like it high stress at all. Even though all the emotional trauma and different things going on there, right, as a child, and parents divorcing and that kind of stuff. So I was I was looking back, as I do on my life all of the time, about when I first realized in my body that it was reacting, right? My body, mind, or whatever, body, mind, everything was reacting to an external force, right? Which is usually conflict, right? The heart palpitations and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to speed it up to when, because it was more noticeable. You notice things about your body, getting nervous, speaking in front of people, all those sorts of things. Of course, I realized as a teenager and all of that. Okay. But when I had my interaction, confrontation, whatever you would like to call it, with one of my family members right before I found self-defense, I would say I had like my first ever like panic or anxiety attack, which is really dumb that I didn't know how to respond, because I was just taking like a yoga thing that weekend, like about breathing and different things like that, which is another example, right? I wasn't having the practice. It wasn't a part of my lifestyle. And I was probably also in fear state. So basically, I ran away. For those of you who haven't heard that story, the person in my face. And I usually shut down in the past, right? In any terms, in any way, when it comes to conflict, it could be somebody maybe raising their voice or something like that. Okay, so no social skills and all that. So I was remembering back at that moment, and I started shaking, and it took a long time for me to calm down. No, I did not do any special breathing, anything, just like I said at the yoga thing I went to. Um, I think I talked my way through it, talked to myself, and kind of sat there and talked with the person afterwards, and was finally able to calm down. And basically, when I say I ran away, like I tried to get in the truck and leave, but I couldn't because I was shaking so bad. That's number one, where I realized I was out of control of my emotions and body, not knowing what to do. And then the other occasion is, this is, I guess, called vicarious trauma. When I looked it up or was talking to my client about it, is that when I first started my podcast, my very first show with my guest paramedic from Alabama, Christopher South, really good show, beautiful, beautiful story. While it has a lot of sad moments within it, including his electroshock therapy treatment that he woke up during. Basically, in those first few conversations that I had with him, because I'm also an empath who also absorbs and takes on other people's pain, energy, things like that. But I never really realized or thought it was a big deal, because I don't know, I love studying human behavior. I love helping people. I love hearing personal stories, but that's what I tend to do. And so it's very draining if you haven't heard this about empaths. I'm not one of those people that walks in a room and feels like everybody's energy or anything like that. Thank goodness. But definitely when people start talking, I really get consumed. And I know that it was during that story time that he was sharing that stuff with me. And basically, what ended up happening is, like I told you, I don't really would say that I encounter, yes, I have stress like everybody else, but I don't have the kind of stress that I think warrants. Um, I just don't really think it's that bad. Right. So, as a result of that, I don't really have to feel like I ever necessarily have to, like, go do something because 'cause I'm all stressed out, except nowadays, it is feeling like that. Okay, so after that, it was about 2 weeks later, I started getting sharp pains in my chest in a resting state. So I would be sitting there on the couch, probably watching the guide like I do for an hour, the guide, to see what I wanna watch, and I just scroll and scroll and scroll, and then I realize, I've been sitting there for 30 minutes. And I started getting that pain again, and I remembered back to, like, this has never happened before. What is this? And it was that conversation with Chris about, electroshock therapy, him waking up, and suicidal talking. So what I did is I just put my hand on my heart, and I tried to calm myself with my breathing and just really focusing on that, and it went away. So this isn't the first time I've done this kind of stuff. It was just an area for me to practice on. Third thing that happened during this time, because this is very intense work and having these conversations with the first responders, is I don't know what I was doing, but I just remember that I had to actually go in the bathroom because I felt like I the emotions and everything were so intense that if somebody had even, like, touched me, I would have just broken down. I would have had a meltdown just crying. And, these are all the steps that I realized, like, what this type of work and mental health could do to me. So I know that it was always all a learning lesson in this process, and even now, looking at my life and all the beautiful aspects of it, there's I really don't feel like this is a time now, March 2024, for me to be sad or be depressed or things like that. I have things to look forward to. And even still with all this deep work that I want to do. So, where was I going with that? I was going with some days are more intense than others with the stress, meaning what I end up getting now are kind of back of the head headaches. And for those of you, this might be normal, but to you, you may think it's normal. Maybe you've always had headaches, maybe you've always had migraines, but there is a way to manage or fix, because I know for me it's almost become now a daily thing that I have to do these certain sets of practices, right? Either it's like a hands-on healing, if you want to call it like a Reiki, like just putting my hands back here um on the back of my head and just focusing. I have a bunch of different tools that I'll also put, excuse me, on my head and massage. Listening to audio, being still, slowing down, a lot of positive self talk. So it does require maintenance. But what I wanted to tell you, aside from, yes, there's lots of different things to do, right? And you just have to do them. And for me, I have to make self care these days very much a priority. Like, I really am going to go get a serious head massage. So, there's different things that I can tell you that will help and alleviate. Sometimes for some people, it has to get really bad for you to do something about it. But that's not the number one thing I wanted to talk about and share today. I think the main thing of what I wanted to say is that number one, stress can be insidious. You may not think that it's that bad when it is. And just pay attention to your body, people, because lots of these things, I'm sure you heard of, that stress can kill, but you may not think it's a big deal until it is. And I've mentioned this before. My client who worked at Folsom Prison as a psychologist, she actually developed Epstein-Barr. So it took her, which is like a heightened form of mono. You have brain fog, you're constantly sleeping, all these sorts of basically health problems. And it took her about 10 or almost 15 years working in the prison. Okay, dealing with the mentally ill, seeing people pull their eyeballs out and eat them, and just like crazy gnarly stuff. And she was intrigued by that, her career. You know, she actually did like it, but she didn't really realize what it was doing to her. And so we can hear everybody's stories and, oh yeah, I should probably do this and stop doing that. And you're just going to have to get to that point. I'm just going to, for you to actually do something. But I just know for me, because I know what it's like to not live with physical symptoms and to have lived my life, you know, not, like I would say, pretty chill, and never was like a drinker, or, you know, used drinking, you know, to pacify or manage. So I know what it's like to not feel like that. Is that for me and my mental health, it's really important for me to stay on top of this. And so that's what I've realized at one of parts of my journey. It's like I'm not trying to add more stress to my life. So whenever I start to feel things like this, I really sometimes have to step away from what I'm doing, including talking on here, about such intense stuff. So while I love it and all of that, this is a stress. So I love it and I will continue to do it. But sometimes, yes, I have to walk away. I have to do a little bit of isolation. Sometimes walking helps. Water definitely helps me. Music, quiet time stuff, um, anything, because it is all of this, my life's work and serving is definitely a stressor. I have to admit out loud, it is a stressor for me. So anyway, I hope that a lot of my information is helping you all. And I'm going to go ahead and end this video by talking about just paying attention to your body. This is how people get sick. Like I said, stress kills. People get sick easier. People get just the movement of 24/7, just constantly being on the go. And again, it might be normal to you, but this stuff does catch up with you and you will start experiencing physical symptoms. So that's where you'll hear practitioners talking about how much the mind, well, practitioners in Eastern medicine too, how our thoughts and emotions create disease in the body when excessively you are under certain level of stress, or you have certain emotions that have built up and been stored in your cells. All these different things, they just manifest in different ways. Okay, that's the best way to put it. So that's all for today. I will be talking to you guys later, and I'll be talking to you later. Bye.